If you can hear this, you're in the right place. I'm Warren Martineck, and this is the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
Hello everybody, my name is Ian Taylor and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, brought to you by the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, an awesome community of card collectors and creators. Well, most of them anyway. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast, so come check us out. With me is my co-pilot in all things Marvel Cards. I'd like you all to close your eyes. Take a breath in over the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And exhale over the same count. 1, 2, 3. You should all feel relaxed, energized, and one with the surfboard. It's Norrin Rad.
I am here.
And I did that because when Simone posted Simone Bianchi posted some Silver Surfer work that he'd done the other day, and it was shared into group, and someone immediately commented, "Clean up on aisle Norrin," which made me laugh. That's the biggest laugh. That's the biggest laugh I've had all week. But then you posted something saying about how Simone does the surfer as if he's one with the surfboard, like as a fluid thing, and it just made me think of that.
Very zen. Very zen. Which reminds me,
I've got a joke for you. Buddha goes up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything."
Wow. That was... Yeah, I've never heard it. No, it's super edgy.
Right. Okay. All right.
Controversial, though. Why'd you put that on the show? I mean, that's going to cause an uprise. That's a little much.
Tough crowd. Yeah. That's all I've got to say. Anyway, hello, everybody. We have actually got people here with us, literally, as well as listening to the episode once it's actually out. Hope you're all well. Hope you're happy. Hope you're safe and handling the madness of the moment. So this week we've got someone very, very special to us here in the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, and I think I can hear his family in the background there.
Can you?
Yeah, I think we can. Rick, or is it Ortiz?
Ortiz. Yeah.
Rick is with us. Hello, Rick. How are you?
How are you, gentlemen? Everybody good?
Good, brother.
We're all good. There's so many people in our wonderful community, and I was like, I want more of them to come on and tell us about their amazing kind of collections and things. And I thought, Rick was on that shortlist very quickly.
Yes.
And for reasons that will become apparent. But I can hear your is it a daughter you've got?
Baby girl, yeah.
Baby girl. Was it 4 months, is she now?
She's going on 6.
Oh, my goodness.
So cute.
Yeah, time flies.
That's crazy to me, man.
Time flies. Well, congratulations. Is she your first?
Second.
Oh.
Wow. I've got one that's 25, so big difference.
Hang on a minute. You look barely 26 yourself, so.
I wish I felt that way.
Oh, my goodness. No, we had one, and my wife was like, "I'm not doing that again."
Oh, my wife is 3 more.
Oh, okay.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, she wants more. Wants them now too. So.
Okay. Well, this could be the first and last episode about your card collection. So that intro that I did, laboured as it was will probably equally apply to you, sir, because you're a very similar taste to my gorgeous co-host Norris.
Let's not bring that stuff up. I don't want people to know this kind of stuff.
I mean, there's plenty of times I'm sitting around like, what? Norrin's the only surfer collector around here.
That's what I heard. I don't know about.
Well,
I'm just pushed off to the side over here.
Yeah, that's what he tried. Yeah. That's what he tried to do. So actually, Norrin, this is a sandbagging. We thought we'd.
No, don't. You guys don't worry about Rick. He's fine on his own. If you have surfers, just come to me. He doesn't need any of that stuff. He's okay. He's busy.
Oh my goodness, man.
Rick is my Silver Surfer brother from another mother type of deal. Rick and I have exactly the same taste when it comes to surfers. There is 2 other surfer collectors. One who's a good friend of ours, Jordan, who has quite a collection. And the other guy is a black hole collector. So I have his email, but he hasn't responded. That's actually a true story. I did email him. I don't know if I told you that, Rick. Someone gave me his email, and I was like, all right, let's hit him up. No response yet. So I'll give you guys an update when that happens. But Rick and I do have the same, very similar taste in aesthetics for sketch cards, actually. I think so. I think like almost really close.
Actually. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I definitely love the vintage stuff, throwback, you know.
Yes.
I mean, those are my favorite cards actually for surfer, would be vintage.
Really?
Vintage. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sick.
Yeah.
When you say vintage, what kind of?
Well, so when we talk about the sketch cards, I mean, a lot of the masterpieces really hit it. You know, the top ones that you can't find. Those were great.
The ones that are hidden.
Yeah.
So for everyone out there, probably the highlight of sketch cards was probably during the Marvel Masterpiece 07, 08 series, which Ian and I have talked about on the show quite frequently. Those sketches were pretty much like, that's like golden age of sketch cards. You know what I mean? There was such a range of artists, such a range of styles and most of them weren't even color, right, Rick? Most of them sometimes were
black and white.
Yeah, just ink. But, I mean, they were just amazing. Ian knows this, too. Ian, you have a great collection of some black cats.
That's pretty cool ones, yeah.
Yeah, that are just ink, really, right? On the Marvel Masterpiece stock?
Yeah,
Marvel Masterpiece. Ian has some crazy good pieces, too. Rick has really beautiful pieces. Rick's collection is very, very well curated, I would say.
Thank you.
And no, it is. It's always been. As listeners know, I'm mostly a guy. I'm very picky. Not to any artist's fault or anything like that. Just subjectively, I'm extremely picky. I've always been that way. But Rick and I usually, funny story. Rick is the guy I always go to if I'm like, so Surfer does not come up. Not to make this an episode about him all the time, but man, when one does come up, I have to look at Rick like, Rick, man, I kind of want it. I want it real bad. Rick has to be like, I don't know, man.
Is it forever? Is that for another piece? Is it forever?
Is that going to fit your collection, Norrin? Do you want to think about this? Like he's talking me off a ledge. He's the one I go to.
I mean, but I'm very much the same way. It could be one little thing, and it's like, and like you said, it's not to slight any artist or anything like that. It's just
no.
You know, yeah. Of course, you got to take in the hand. Also, drawing on these little sketch cards isn't going to catch every little thing.
Yeah,
100%.
You know,
yeah, it's almost impossible to catch every little thing. Yeah.
I mean, we've had this conversation before, Norrin, where we've said, okay, you've got to. If you look at your collection, you've got to think about, okay, those are the ones that go with me to the grave. Those are the ones that are kind of in the middle, and those are the ones that can go. And the differences are nothing to do with the artist most of the time. They're about your subjective interpretation of how that character is viewed. So, I've talked about, me with Black Cat, I have my little peccadillos that are absolutely no-nos. And then from there on, it just becomes a very small thing. It's like, no, I can't see the character that I know in that image for whatever reason.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that ultimately that's where it's come to. But you'll immediately put it up for sale or for trade, and someone else will see it, and it'll be their absolute nirvana.
Their grail. Yeah, that's what's happening with me too. I've gotten surfers that are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Might not be other person's cup of tea. Like the Richard Cox surfer I have, where the where the Galactus chest is behind him and stuff. I saw that card on DeviantArt years ago when I was collecting, and I hit up an eBay collector and who I saw him post some sketch cards, and I've never spoken to him or her, and I was kind of like, hey, you have any surfers? And man, he showed me a picture of his dining room coffee table or whatever in his living room, and there it was, just off to the side, hidden. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it, and I was just like, I'll take it. and it just really lucky. But I had seen that card on DeviantArt, which I'm sure a lot of collectors here have too. Looking at sketch cards on Google Images and all this other stuff, wanting to find these pieces. But yeah, it very much actually, Ian's gone through that recently too. And I think Rick's going through that as well. I've just trimmed back, but you guys are both in the process of now looking at your collection and being like, what am I going to keep? What do I want to
now,
trade?
actually, and I'm just realizing how many I've got by some artists. It's great. It's mainly the Spider-Man archives, as I pay, because I binder mine currently. But I've just done a little count, actually. I've probably got about 25 Marvel Masterpieces, about 8 from 07, about same again from 08, the first set, and then about 11 from the second set in 08.
Amazing.
That is amazing. That's a crazy good collection.
Well, it is, but I came into it late. That's the thing. I kind of picked up what was, because they went quickly. Once that, I came into sketches and that set had already broken. The first wave had already crested, and the second one was coming in. To use a rather dodgy surfing metaphor, but so I just kind of picked up what I could, but I was kind of working back up. So I'm looking at them now, and there's at least 5 or 6 I could, that I would happily just say, okay, no, that doesn't sit with my collection. And then, but there's not many in between. It's very much on the extreme ends. It's either a definite yes or a definite no. Not many in between. And when I get into the coloured Rittenhouse ones, it's a bit more difficult to make that judgment distinction.
That decision.
All shades of grey. So Rick, Surfer's not your only guy though, is he?
So I focus on Silver Surfer, Hulk, and Thanos. So I used to collect everything. I used to be all over the place, and it just boiled down to I can't have all of this. And I'm very, as you guys, you guys have seen my stuff, so I got to hang everything on the wall also. So I have a limited space. I think I've got 5 cases, so that holds maybe 300 cards, 400 tops. I was up to 400 plus. Well, at the beginning of the year, I was nearing 500. Now I'm down to about 400. I'd like to get down to 300 probably.
And this is sketch cards we're talking about.
Only sketch cards, right? I only collect sketch cards. That's it.
Okay, cool. How long have you been at it?
Yeah, I started late. I started in 2010. That was Marvel Beginnings. Okay. So I missed out on all the masterpieces. Luckily, I was still around enough to where stuff was floating around, and I did pick up stuff. I think like most collectors, though. I mean, at least for me, when I got in, since I was new, I didn't. My first thing was, oh no, there's no way I'm paying $100 for a sketch card. There's this one card specifically that I remember sitting there, and it was a Hulk, and I love it to this day. It's still badass, and I sat there watching the auction. I was like, oh my god, $150, no way! And I sat there and watched it end for $250. Today, I would pay $600 if I could get it. Easy. It
happens.
Breaks my heart, man. That is the story most of our listeners will have.
Of course, for sure.
Complete relatability too.
For sure.
Yeah. That's
who was it by? Who did it?
Chung. Yeah, it was pretty great Hulk. I mean, I got one. I did pick a one, but it's not that one.
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing, man? It's not that one.
But it's the one that got away, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've got 5 of them. I've got 5 of them on my list.
Oh, really?
There's another one that was a Great Planet Hulk, same around the same time, and it sold for $200. And it was just a Great Planet Hulk. But
do you have images of them?
So sadly, I had a hard drive. My brother had it, and it was stolen, and that's gone. Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, obviously, we do talk about sketch cards a lot, and there are collectors who don't touch sketch cards at all. There are people in the group who don't touch sketch cards at all, but you're very much on the sketch card spectrum. And I remember you actually shaped quite a lot of the way our group, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, kind of happened. I don't think you intended to, but you've been quietly influential in how people kind of have started sharing collections we otherwise wouldn't see. You know what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the hashtag pass the baton. So before that was even mentioned, you were kind of posting a sketch every day, kind of.
Yes.
About 3 months. So tell us what happened. What
so basically, I didn't see too much sharing going on and anything, and I just kind of took it upon myself. Let me just start posting, my little collection over here, and that's all it really was. It was just me kind of being me and brightening up a little. Here's a little post, just to add a little something to the group.
And so it was kind of every day for.
That's awesome.
Easily 3 months.
Easily.
Because so I'm in the UK, so I'd see you posting at maybe 8-9 a.m. here, which meant for you it would have been about 3-4 in the morning, which I think fits in with the job that you were doing at the time. I'm assuming you're not doing it at the moment because of the shutdown, which meant that you're up early for it. And I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And then all of a sudden he was like, I've got to take a break.
You know what happened? I felt, my collection can't sustain all these days. let me bow out gracefully. Let me go out like Seinfeld. and that's why that took place. Yeah, if I got 400 cards, you talk about I can only do this for a year, and I want to do it for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, it's funny because that's why I didn't post every day, because I was kind of like, everyone's going to see Surfer all the time. I got
yes, right.
But yeah, what's funny though is that Rick started it, right? Rick is the reason we have this really one of the main reasons for this community sharing sketch cards, right? And then Fenwick, who is just,
took it to another level.
Took it to another level.
It's kind of the other end of the spectrum. So basically, we've missed out the middle. We've gone from the very beginning of the inception, if you like, and then we've gone to college student at the other end. So let's just talk about the middle bit. So the next part is, so Rick's like, going to take a break. So I posted. I thought, I'll post a couple, and a few other people decided to jump in as well. I can't remember exactly who they were, but I don't think it was Fenwick at this point, because he was fairly new to the group at that stage. I think
he was fairly new to the group.
And it kind of organically happened that our first kind of group hashtag started because someone used the expression, okay, well, I'm going to pass the baton to someone else now, as in, someone else can take over. We're going to have it shared so that someone else passes that baton, if you like, of sharing the cards every day.
Right.
And then, so that's kind of how that started. And people would, just take it in turns, hashtag pass the baton, and they'd post one sketch.
Yeah.
And Rick came back in and joined into that, and we had maybe about 3 or 4 sketches a day going on. And then very, very occasionally there'd be something whereby there'd be a character day that would just kind of start out of nowhere, and then loads of people would share. We even had an artist one. You remember we did Perna Day, which we did an episode about.
That was really fun because they came up so organically. Like people would see one sketch card, all right, I got a Perna too, and then it was just like
it just kind of happened of its own.
It was just like cascading all this kind of stuff. It was really fun.
Yeah. Well, now it's not so much cascaded. It's now kind of fire hosed all over the place in a good way.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, now it's become something else. And some of these vast collections that no one sees.
Yeah, completely out of the blue, cards are popping up that are nowhere.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome because now we here's the thing, right? And there are a couple of reasons why, and this is a little topic we've been wanting to discuss on the show for a while, on why people wouldn't want to show a sketch card, right? One, you have people who are like, I really like that sketch card. I'm going to get this artist to redo it. You know what I mean? Or, copy it or whatever the case may be, which we've seen very rare occasions of that, right? Or 2, someone knows you had it, there was a trade in progress, and they, now have something that they want from you, which causes problems. Luckily for the group, though, that kind of hasn't really happened. You know what I mean? It's really just been a very nice thing where it's like, hey, here's what we can offer. Here's like fun things to take a look at. You know what I mean? Because, if you follow other groups and other things, like you follow people who collect comic books, right? There's no shame in posting a grade or a comic book you have. Right? You can put that in display. When you have statues, you can show a statue. No big deal. Right? when you show sketch cards, it gets very tricky.
Well, because they are one item.
It's a one of one item, right? But it's been absolutely phenomenal to see this kind of natural progression of this building of like, here are all these pieces that have come out of collectors' corners that kind of just stay hidden otherwise.
Yeah. Literally hidden as well. So Rick, thank you.
Seriously,
hats off to you. I don't know if you intended to light the fire that sparks the flame, or whatever the expression is, but you're a trendsetter is basically what I'm trying to say here.
I mean, it's fun. It's a fun hobby. I mean, on all aspects, definitely not to leave out regular cards, trading cards and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just so happens I focus on the sketch cards, so it's even when I speak in a group, a lot of times I'm saying sketch this, and meanwhile I'm not thinking. It's just my thought process is thinking sketch cards, but I'm thinking about all the cards, everything.
Yeah. I'm very sketch card heavy too, actually. Yeah. Ian, so are you very sketch card heavy? Because your collection is crazy, but you talk more about sets than you do sketches.
Yeah, I sketches I reserve just for one character. So it's kind of like, but I'm very much. Sorry, I'm just trying to sleeve this card that we were talking about before we started recording. I do sets. I do a lot of different things. I'm kind of one of the frustrating things about me as a collector is that I don't seem to be able to finish anything because I'm constantly chasing little bits of lots of stuff. So I've got loads of sets that are in the progress of doing stuff, and I kind of lose track on it. So I just kind of go to what I remember. But not necessarily. I don't have any structure to it. I just go to what I remember at any particular moment. It's like, okay, I've seen that. I think I need that. I'll go for it. So I'm quite reactive in that way, which I think you're not, knowing you like to plan and you like to.
I definitely plan. I actually just got something recently, which we'll share later, that Rick will enjoy. Not a sketch, but Rick will enjoy regardless, because Rick actually knows a lot about sets as well. But yeah, I always find it fascinating because I can't do that. I need to focus down because, well, here's the thing too. Ian's backlog is crazy, right? I mean, it's just binders and binders and binders of every set you can imagine. Ian has quite a full collection there. But
to be honest with you, I barely scratched the surface.
Compared to other people, to me, it's it's a lot. It's amazing. Yeah. Because I don't do. So Rick, what set would you collect if you had a set you could pick? If you were ever interested in one, what would you go for?
I mean, we're talking sketch card. I mean, what I collect? Well, sketch cards is definitely going to be masterpieces. Only because we discussed, a lot of the top cards are there.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. What's that?
Would you ever be interested in doing an artist one?
What do you mean?
Only going to go for on an artist base cards.
Yeah, so if you were going to go for a full set of every artist on that set.
I mean, for me, if we're talking, since I'm only thinking surfer at present, it would be Aaron Saud, who killed it with his stuff. And I obviously I have the one card, but I've never seen another. But if you start looking him up, his stuff is comic book quality. Straight out, his first issue of Surfer, it's great stuff. If you're talking Surfer, but obviously, on a whole, I think Nar was fantastic on the older sets. He did, especially back then, because back then, these guys didn't even know what they was doing. They was just out here hammering stuff out. So I think he killed. I mean, there's a lot. So I'm not so familiar with artists. I could look at stuff and I could tell they're related or whatever, but I'm not going to start naming this artist, that artist. I'm very much, I like that. I like this. I want that one. I'm pretty simple, cut and dry. Yeah.
No, I'm the same way too, because I don't remember the artist as well. Ian has a pretty good memory for all that stuff, but I'm not the best with names either. With that kind of I can't call back, but you know what I mean?
Right. I need to start cataloging some of these because I'm looking at a 2017 Marvel Premiere Black Cat here that I've got, and I honestly don't remember acquiring it, and yes, it's here. And I can't read the artist's signature on the back, so anyway, so it's that one. So I'll put it up on the tasting notes, and we will. I'll be inundated with guesses. I'm sure. No, someone will know.
I think that, yeah.
But I know that a lot of people, so a lot of people who collect primarily sketch cards, actually keep their their sets very well ordered. I'm probably, I know Norrin probably looks at me flicking through the binder pages and just shivers because
it does. I don't know how people keep sketches in binders. That's just me, though. That's just me.
Yeah,
I think it's nice because I wish
weirdly,
I could see them.
I've started to put more in the Ultra Pro, but then I immediately felt that that's going to be interesting for me actually browsing through it. That makes sense. So I'm not sure how that's. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm still kind of on the ledge with that one, but what I was going on to say was a lot of collectors have their sets organized and catalogued, as in when they acquired them, what the artist was, how much they paid.
Definitely spreadsheets, all that.
Yeah, but well, I've seen people who actually put labels on the team bags that they keep the top loaders or the mag cases in. Do you do that, Rick?
So I did that when I first had them in the penny loaders.
Yeah.
And then when I started taking them out the case, I started getting careless because I switched. Once I decided I could display them, I started putting them in the snap cases. So then I started losing track. I mean, I'm a mess. You're talking about I'm a mess. I don't know what I pay for anything anymore. Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, I'm lost. I used to know. I used to have everything written down. What artists, like I said, it was on that hard drive. Once I lost the hard drive, it went out the window. It's like if you get a brand new phone, the first time you scratch it, it's over. You don't give a shit.
There is that. I mean, I've become very, very addicted, and I'm sure they're watching and listening to everything I say as a result. In Google Drive, I used to use Dropbox, but they're just too expensive. But Google Drive now, everything I back it up.
Nice.
Like relentlessly. But the beautiful thing about that is that in my Gmail account, which goes back at least 10 years since I got that email address, it's now my main one. I can look for the confirmations because most of my stuff I bought off eBay. So I can actually use that as a resource and search back through.
Yeah.
To find, when I bought sketches. But of course, they don't show you the images, those emails anymore. They just show you the title. So if the artist isn't listed, then you start having to play guessing games.
Start to have some issues there.
So I could probably have a go at doing so. But a lot of the artists I do actually recognise, which is good. Because some of these sets, especially Spider-Man Archives, which was my big one, those artists went on to do an awful lot of work for other Rittenhouse sets. Back to what we were talking about. So it's now at the point whereby people are doing posts with 30 to 40 images in one go of sketches ranging across multiple sets. It's quite dizzy. I don't have time. No criticism, but I don't have time to digest them all because there's just so much on the group, and I get notifications from every post that come up. So it's quite a lot. But if you want to dive in, there's plenty of beautiful work being shared there.
Definitely.
I personally prefer to drip feed mine because I haven't got as big a collection as certainly. I mean, I've got a lot of black cats, but it's not as many as you have, Rick. And I know knowing your collection is pretty small and
it's really
well curated.
Yeah, well, thank you. I probably have no more than 22 surfers, sketch card wise. Just small, maybe even less than that. And that's it. So yeah, it's weird. I'm not. So there's like multiple levels that I tend to go for. I tend to go for a surfer from every set, but I won't. What I did in the past was I had a surfer from a set. But it wasn't a surfer I liked, but I picked it up anyway. But the problem was that then it's sitting in my collection. I'm like, well, now I have to worry about trading this or reselling it, and I liked it. It was nice, it was very nice. I actually had the brainiac idea once, and I told Rick this. I was like, I'm going to collect a surfer from every artist from Fantastic Four Archive, and I was kind of like, what an idiot. I was like, what am I doing? I got a bunch of them, and they looked nice too. Some of them looked really good. The Lou Antonio we were talking about wasn't bad. It looked, a lot of them looked really great actually, but I was just looking at them and I was like, man, this is just not where I want to do this. I don't want to do this headache. So, eventually, fortunately, I was able to sell them and help other people with their collections, like, with their Fantastic Four collection, all this really great stuff. So they went to good homes, you know what I mean? But I just stopped doing that. Basically, now I only get things that are either done by artists that I'm really into, or in fact, I'm also doing the other thing where I only get sketch cards from artists that, I'm trying to have every artist who's worked on the Surfer comic books sketch card. Because a lot of them actually have. Rick and I know this. We talk about this all the time. So, like, some comic book creators, like Ron Lim, has a sketch card, sketchograph, and he drew a Surfer on it. So it's kind of a really great way to collect. It's a way to say, like, there's a Surfer from an actual series for the Surfer. You know what I mean? So that kind of, like, level of stuff I try to go for as well. I missed out on one card, but it was just too much. It was a Ron Garney, who I actually really like as an artist, really cool artist. And I like his Surfer quite a bit, but the sketch card it wasn't that it was a bad sketch card, it just wasn't my style at all. Yeah. And I think I spoke to Rick and Ian about this, I think. I don't know. Did I show you that, Ian?
I don't know if you did. I can't remember now.
I have to find the pic, but yeah, it just wasn't my thing, so I passed on that one. But I think that's the only one I'm missing. But yeah, I stay very small, so I know all the cards I have. I know all the artists I have, so I'm pretty up to date. But yeah, you can't keep track. Once you go over 100 or 200 or even 50, it's over. You know what I mean? Unless you're putting that sticker on the back and writing stuff down, there's no way to really keep track. No, not at all. That's not the thing to do. Funny enough, I'm seeing a lot more influx of character collectors. Have you noticed that too, Ian?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people who have started to venture into character collecting as well, as a way to keep focus. And even some character collectors who've had maybe more than one character have now decided to bail on some and just focus on the one. Yeah, which is interesting. Because I think people find it quite addictive, and you can very quickly overspend.
Definitely.
When you character collect?
Experience. Yeah, you can very, very easily overspend if you don't focus. Even when you character collect.
I mean, you can overspend easily on any of it, any aspect of the hobby.
Oh yeah. But I think you can easily character collect without going in sketch cards. There's quite a lot of difficulty with which is why I don't buy as many sketch cards these days. I find myself chasing more of the limited aspects of my character in certain sets. Yeah, and that actually takes up a lot of time and resource, especially with the way Upper Deck make it quite difficult to get certain combinations, and you have to acquire quite a lot of cards to get some of the stuff. So that's where my focus has been really over the last couple of years, really, apart from obviously the groups and the podcast. So
your character too has been really exclusive to e-pack achievements.
Yeah.
Which is crazy enough, which makes it even more difficult. Having an e-pack achievement just means you really have to go the mile.
So, but one of the things, do you ever see kind of a new set coming and even get tempted to go into it from a set point of view? Or are you that laser focused, Rick, that you know it's just going to be your sketch cards?
Well, it's only sketch cards for me.
Okay.
I have a handful of trading cards, and when I get them, they're sitting in the drawer right now.
Okay.
Fair. There's sometimes I see a Hulk or something. Let me get this one. It's $5-10. Let me try it out. But no, I'm not going to display it. This is my thing. I got into sketch cards because I was looking for Marvel art, and I did a search one day, and then a sketch card popped up, and that's when it piqued my interest, and I started watching, see what's going on with this, and that's how I got into it.
Same. That's so funny. That's exactly the same thing for me too.
You two really are uncannily close.
No, it's weird. It's bizarre. It's really funny. But yeah, I did the same thing because, it's crazy too. Because when you get into comic book art is pretty big. You know what I mean? It's 11 by 17, and you have to store it flat, and you have to have a portfolio thing. It can be kind of when I first got into this, I was kind of like, oh, I don't have the room for that. I was trying to go to a graduate degree. I was doing all this other stuff, and I was like, I can't keep this stuff safe and not let heat and all this good stuff, because I'm not going to spend money on this and then ruin it, because that would drive me crazy. And then sketch cards, man, it's just like, here's original art that fits into a top loader. And I've always been a card guy. Even when I was a kid, I loved trading cards, always. I've always dabbled in some kind of trading card here or there. So when I found out about sketch cards, I was like, this is perfect. Now I can store these, keep them all safe. I'm kind of ready to go. I definitely get tempted by sets, though, for sure. It definitely happens to me. I'm like, I'm going to buy a box of Marvel anime, and I'm just like,
Which actually I was going to go on to talk about, actually. So there's a marvelous segue.
Really excited to talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I was asking Rick was whether whether we could tempt you with anything, but it sounds like you're pretty set on your course, which is absolutely fine, no problem with that whatsoever. We've managed to tempt Norrin into getting at least a set of Marvel Masterpieces.
Well, yeah. So what happened? Actually, that was pretty funny. So I have a set now of MM18 and MM16 for a couple of reasons.
16 as well. I didn't know you got 16.
I don't have tier 4. I don't do tier 4. That's just too expensive.
Yeah.
But I do have a set of the MM16, and I do have a set of the MM18. And I did do a master set, my first one, because, I want to be part of the gang, of the preliminary art inserts for Marvel Masterpieces 18. Only because, you've seen it, Rick, they're sketches. You know what I mean? Every card has a sketch on it, and it's not an actual one-on-one sketch, but it's the thought process behind the thing. And you and I have talked about this before. We love that kind of stuff, seeing the blue line and the marker. You know what I mean? You can see the work of the artist in there. And I was like, you know what? This is my favorite insert. I've never seen them do this kind of insert before. I'm just gonna go for it. I also have something else, which I'll talk about later. And then, I also got the preliminary art redemption card for a really good price from a good friend of ours in the group who was kind enough to sell me one. And that should be coming in the mail. And that's going to be, an actual sketch from Simone Bianchi. And that's kind of why I did it. I was like, you know what? Has this kind of sketch look in the thought process, and I kind of feel really good about going for this. Yes, the sketchboards from NCC 98.
So do you have those?
I do have those. I don't have the full set.
They are lovely. Well, there's multiple color variants as well, which is the bizarre thing about it.
It's ridiculous.
So I've got a set of the black, I think, which is perfectly fine with me. I think there are blue. Yeah, they're basically what they are. They're printed. They're sketches by Mike Ringo, who's I think passed away now. I think he passed away a number of years ago now. But he did sketches of quite a few characters for Marvel Creators Collection 98. And they went into these cards called sketchboards, and so they're printed cards, but they're of sketches. And they look, they're beautiful. They're really simply laid out.
And they have a good texture to them. They have that canvas, that sketchboard feel to them. They're nice pieces.
Yeah, they're just really not. They're not the thickest cards, but they feel like the card you would have drawn on. So they feel like kind of
like a sketchboard. Like a sketch piece of paper.
But of course, 18 is the rare one that you got with a redemption card that's found in every one in 160 boxes, not packs, because usually odds are by packs. So 160 boxes is quite a few packs, so that'll be 4 figures at least. It was signed.
We have someone in the group.
Yeah. Someone. They are out there. Signed by Mike Wieringo and Stan Lee. So. I don't have that. I think I've shown this and talked about this before. There's a little in the set, the dealer that had them put this in there at trading card size. Yes. And so this is from back in 98. They've said what it is and, that sort of thing. And it's from a UK dealer.
Cool.
Card guys at CompuServe.com. That's going back a bit. So, and they... but actually, the card that you redeemed I would imagine would be worth a bit, let alone whether it's redeemed or not. Because you get a redemption card, and then you're supposed to send that in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's bizarre. But then on the back of each one, there's also an entry form, which is the thing that cracks me up. You have to create. Yeah. So it's bizarre. Is it a redemption card, or do you have to fill in and send in each one of those? Because that's what it says on the back of the card.
I feel like you have to send the whole set in order to get the Stanley, the dual autograph.
Yeah, to win, simply collect the complete set of 24 sketchboard game cards. So they're called game cards for Marvel Creators Collection 98. A limited edition Spider-Man. There's 100 of them. Card personally signed by Mike Wieringo and Stanley. Odds of winning are 1 in 5,760 packs, based on obtaining the one rare sketchboard game card 18. So you had to have the whole set, including the redemption card.
Yeah.
And you send all that in. That's bonkers.
I love how they probably have all those sets sitting somewhere or tossed away.
Yeah, it's great.
People's names on them and stuff.
Well, you got a little bit more room to write on than we had on that X-Force card that we talked about last week.
Yes, that's right.
We still need to find out those. No one's joined the group in the name of Wile E. Coyote, by the way. But there is a picture of that card on the back of the promo card.
Yes.
So
you know what I would love to find? I love that card too. It's a great looking card.
Nice.
What I would love to find is, so if you look at the back of the sketchographs for the MCC 98, that's actually the outline of the Surfer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you ever look at it, yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah. So I've always looked at that because I love that set.
This is the thing, Norrin. You've got a different microphone now, not that headphone one. So whenever you go away from your microphone now, it does actually get quieter.
Does it really get quieter?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, it's one of the downsides about having a fixed position mic as opposed to a headphone mic.
Well, I like it because you can hear my breathing, because I felt like I was a heavy breather, so you could hear me. Anyway, so here's that. I'd enjoy that. So that's what the sketch is. And it's
that's Surfer.
Yeah, so you can see the board at the bottom.
Okay. Well, I'll pop a picture. We will pop a picture of this on the tasting notes, folks.
But I always want to find where that drawing is.
I knew that's what you was going to say.
and Rick will be like, and here I have it on my wall, the original.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
While he's talking, I'm like, we're going to fight for that one.
Oh my goodness! It'll be pistols at dawn.
We're gonna fight for that one. I love it. Oh gosh, yeah, I want to find it because there has to be some kind.
That would be amazing. That's epic. I mean, that's some real history right there to have that.
I know.
I'm sure it's out there. Some creator, whoever was, somebody's got it.
Someone's got it who doesn't realize, or someone knows where it is, and it's just hidden.
I mean, also back in the day, though, I mean, they threw a lot of stuff out too. It could have gone trash too, sadly too.
Yeah, that's what breaks my heart too. Yeah, I've been thinking about that for a long time now. I've just never. I just wonder who did it. Like, I believe that has to be a sketch by Mike Wieringo. Right? Yeah, so that has to be his. That has to be his sketch. So that has to be somewhere. That kind of preliminary thing, because I always thought they would do that for the sketchboards. Like that Surfer would be more rendered out on one of those sketchboard inserts that we were just pointing out, but it's not in that set either. So one of those Surfer mysteries.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Who knows? So, Rick, did you go back to the late 90s sets with your sketch cards as well, or were they did you, when you started collecting, say 10 years ago, did you work backwards and get the earlier sets as well?
I've got some earlier stuff in there.
So
like from the creators. Yeah. I mean, if I come across it and it's in my budget, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that budget can be quite flexible depending on how much you want it, yeah?
Definitely. What's funny thing is Norrin hit me up the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, asking me, what card did you want from my collection? I'm like, shit, I got to come up with money now. Where am I going to come up with money? What do I got to sell? That was my first reaction. I was like,
I feel so. We were talking during collectors chat, which is another segue because Ian mentioned we wanted to like just let everybody know how that went.
Yeah.
And we were talking during collectors chat, and we're joking around, having a good time. And then Rick was like, "Well, you got it." I said something. I was like, I try to give people, if it's a surfer I don't want or like a character I don't want, someone's looking for it. I usually hit them up, and because I try to remember who wants what, just to help people out. And then Rick immediately was like, "Oh yeah, well, there's a surfer I want in your collection, Norrin." I'll take that. And I was falling out. I was cracking up. And then I was talking to Kevin St. Jack, who I want to give a shout out to because he actually helped me acquire something recently that I wanted to show you guys while we're on air because it's kind of cool. And he was talking to me about something, and I think he was there during the collector's chat, right? Isn't that right, Rick? Kevin was there.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, both Kevins were there actually.
Yes.
And
were they? Oh, this must have been after my brief 20 minutes that I was in there.
20 seconds.
No, it was. So Kevin 1 and Kevin 2 were in there.
Yeah, but I was ready to go again after another minute. Anyway, carry on.
And now I'm trying to find it. But yeah, so Kevin was hitting me up, and then we said something to each other, which made me think about Rick. And I was like, oh shit, let me ask Rick, because I actually forgot which one it was.
I'm telling you, that was my reaction. Oh, I got to sell. When am I going to sell? I got to make a good offer. I'm going to get this.
I'm going to get this shit.
Yeah, I'm very, very much that way, man. If I can get it, I'm going to, I'll figure it out.
Same. I think once you lose a sketch card that you really want, I think once that happens to you, you're kind of like, nope, it's never happening again. Because that's kind of exactly what happened to me too. I was just like, nope, I'm never passing up on something that if I want it, I'll get it and I'll figure it out later. Because it is the 1-on-1 factor. You know what I mean? If you don't pick it up then, it vanishes. Very rarely have I found sketch cards that like there's this. It like I don't know how much Rick would be into it because it's very sketchy, but it's Sarah Richard Marvel Premiere 2012, and it has a surfer on it. And it's really sketchy, but I've always digged her style, and I was like, I like that to be like. I like her too. I don't know what it is. See, same taste. And I was like, man, I want to pick that up. And they beat me by a cent. They must have had a sniper on it or something, and they just cleaned house. And I was like, son of a. And it's been years now, maybe 3 or 4 years. Nothing. As many people as I know in the hobby, it has never resurfaced for me, ever. And it's weird because like in the group, we have I would say, what do you think, Ian? We have a pretty good percentage of collectors from the hobby in the group. I mean, I'd say. Yeah. At least 80% of us know each other and are in that group or in some way connected to each other, I think.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how this thing has gone. It just vanished, but it does. It does.
So many private collectors. I'm pretty private to a certain extent. I mean, you guys know I got several hobbies, so just so happens I do share the sketch cards, but other stuff I don't really share.
So what's the other stuff? Yeah. What's the other stuff, Rick?
Well, I collect statues. I collect prototype toys. I do collect larger art, not necessarily comic art, a little out of my budget. But if I'm around and I'll grab something if it appeals and something I can attain. Nice. But I mean, there's so many levels to collecting, and I mean that's what makes it all fun. No matter what scale you're on, whatever you're collecting is fun to you.
My PlayStation 1 games are visible there.
It's funny because I was like, do I bring that up now? I'll ask him later. It's like, that's what I thought that was. Yeah. I thought that was the whole PlayStation. I thought, and you got the PS1 in the corner over there.
Yes, so PlayStation 1 below. Yes. So I haven't got a very long lead on this thing, but if I move out the way, on the back wall there, behind me, you can just about see the top of my games wall. Yeah. And I've got, what have I got on there? I've got all the PS1 rental stuff, which come in clamshells.
Yes.
And then I've got some Sega Mega Drive, which I've trimmed down. I used to have about 260 Sega Mega Drive games. I've kept about 40, and I've sold about half. I've got half to go. This is fascinating listening for people. I've got some Nintendo GameCube there. I've got PS2 and PS3 are here. Around the other side, I've got Xbox One. As in the original Xbox, not Xbox One.
I'm still here with a grin on my face because, so I've been, everybody's a collector all their life, most likely. So I used to get the Super Nintendo games. I used to keep them in the plastic. I would slice it ever so carefully just to take out the cartridge and left everything mint inside.
Yeah.
So then I don't know how many I had, over 50 easy, and I traded all that in for the PS1. So imagine if I had those games today, because people paying hundreds and hundreds.
Super Nintendo is a
if I still had them, But I used to take care of all that stuff, man. I do. I've been gaming too, though. I've been gaming since Atari, so I've been gaming.
Well, I've got they're around the corner, so I can't get them at the moment. But I've got those the small LED, not the LCD ones, the Game & Watch, but the LED ones which lit up. So you used to be able to get like the mini arcade cabinets.
Yes.
So you had Pac-Man, you had Frogger, Galaxian. I've got that one, and then there were different versions for different countries. So in the UK side of things, I've got Firefox, I've got Astro Wars, I've got the original boxed versions of those.
Fantastic. You're a hardcore collector.
And those I've had for a long time. I used to buy them in London. There were a couple of retro vintage shops that sadly aren't there anymore. But they're the kind of place that used to get that thing in before that scene really took off with the advent of Facebook and social media. So I kind of got in on a lot of that stuff beforehand. But yeah, a lot of these retro games, I don't get time to play it. I mean, you know what it's like when you've got a little one. It's your daddy doesn't get to play with his toys very much. This is daddy's time right now.
Demolition Derby was a favorite of mine. Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I've got Twisted Metal. I've got that.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Sheeran.
Have I got? Oh God, have I got? What have I got here? See, most of them are on the back wall because they're I've got the rental versions of them because the rental versions of them came in plastic clamshells in the UK, and they are. They didn't usually have the manual, and the disc, a black disc with rental only written on it.
Yes.
And that is kind of a sub-scene of a scene, if you like. These are the regular ones that came in. I mean, obviously, you've all got your Metal Gear Solid,
of course.
That looks so good too.
That was yes, indeed.
Oh, brilliant, love that. So
my next door neighbor who's like a brother to me, Angelo, he's like 2 years younger than me. He was telling me to play Silent Hill my whole life. He was like, play Silent Hill, that's your game, because I'm a super huge horror person and like psychological horror. I'm like, I love all that weird stuff. And he was like, you have to play it, you have to play it, you have to play it. And all my whole life was just you have to play it. And I just, oh God, yes. That's the UK one too. That's a pretty rare hit. I have one that's completely pristine as well, but that's a great cover. That's a great cover. But yeah, he was like, get it. Well, crazy thing happened. So I was 20, 21. I forget how old I was, but I went out with a friend. We got some dinner. She was a really good friend of mine or whatever. And then there was a GameStop. And this was at the same time, not kidding, the same time they were getting rid of all their PS1 games.
Oh.
Remember that? Basically, what happened was GameStop was like, we're not going to sell PS1 games anymore. This stuff is gone. They had a back shelf of everything. Wow. I mean, everything. And cheap. And I was like, you know what? Today it's happening. I spent an hour and a half. I'm not kidding. I pulled down every game from that wall and reorganized it for them. They gave it to me cheaper because I reorganized the wall. Because I was looking. No, I'm serious. I spent an hour and a half. I was looking for this stupid Silent Hill game because I couldn't freaking. eBay was expensive at the time, and I didn't have money for it. And they had such a good deal. I was like, I'll just spend time here and do this. I reorganized their whole wall, and there it was, pristine, with manual, no creases, disc, no scratches. I mean, I still have it right here with me. It's in the closet, but it's just perfect. But I spent almost 2 hours in this GameStop, and they gave me a deal because they were just like, forget it. Just take the damn thing, get the hell out of here.
I remember when Blockbuster was still a thing, and they used to have, when VCR was still a thing, in fact, they used to do Star Trek The Next Generation, when it was released for you to buy, was 2 episodes on a video cassette. but the rental versions had 4 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, you had 4 episodes on the cassette. So I used to go for and collect the rental VHSs, UK versions, of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I had a fair chunk of them at one point.
That's really cool.
And they were lovely. They were just so satisfying because they had bigger cases.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They were just absolutely wonderful to go for. So yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people do collect other things other than cards or sketches or whatever it may be.
See, my dad brought home Laserdisc.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys remember that stuff.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But my dad would bring home Laserdisc, and that's something I've always been like wanting to collect and have like a wall of Laserdisc movies. Like you have to flip them and all this other stuff, so it's not the best movie viewing experience, even though it's pretty crisp. But I've always wanted to collect movie Laserdisc. I always thought that would be kind of a sick way to get back into it, just because that's how I first started watching movies. Like I saw Amadeus on that, The Exorcist, Jaws, Total Recall. Back in the day on Laserdisc. Yeah. So, yeah, that's funny.
I'm very much a fan of obsolete media like that.
Yeah.
And it has to be physical media as well. I often... so, for example, do you remember... not sure if you had it in the US, actually. VHS versus Betamax.
Yeah, Betamax didn't hit over here, though.
Yeah. That's right.
Not as hard, yeah.
So Betamax lost that fight. Okay. Yeah. Do you remember when DVD came out? Blu-ray came out. It was Blu-ray or HD DVD.
Yes.
HD DVD. I have a whole shelf of HD DVD films over there, and there's a whole period of time where they were coming out, where you had current releases on them and you had some back catalogue stuff, and it's very much a time capsule of particular distributors and studios that did it, because it was one set of studios were supporting one format and another set of studios were supporting the other format, and obviously Blu-ray won out and has gone from strength to strength. But I still wish I had my mini discs.
Mini disc, yes,
and is a really deep cut format for you. This is so non-Marvel cards; it's incredible. People can skip this bit. Video CDs. So for some artists that I collect from the late 80s, when CDs started coming out, there were video CDs. So I have a really obscure Was Not Was, because I'm really into Was Not Was, and I have a lot of their CD singles, and I have a video CD of Was Not Was that I can't play on anything. I don't even think Laserdiscs could play them. It was such a blink and you miss it format. And I think I've got some Tears for Fears stuff on video CD as well.
Fantastic.
Really old stuff. So yeah, I'm not about to buy a machine that's probably going to be about the size of my head to play them on, because these machines weren't small, let's face it. But the original Star Wars trilogy is one of the most sought after laser discs, I believe. Someone will correct me on this, but you could get like a free film box set of the original trilogy on Laserdisc.
Yes, you can. I actually
closest. Do you actually have that?
Yeah, it's in Miami.
That is one of the
original theatrical releases.
Well, no, even that is slightly tinkered with. But it doesn't
have the CG edition.
Yeah, so it's before he did the special edition, but that's the thing. He couldn't leave it alone, could he? So even
I hated that.
Yeah, there is. If you go to, and not that I'm suggesting people go to pirated media, but if they won't release it, then what choice do people have? If you put the original, and here's a controversial thing, if you put the original into public domain, but then you as the creator decide to change it, however the original is so beloved in the public domain, do you have the right to withhold that original version of your artistic vision in the public domain? I would point you towards Ridley Scott and Blade Runner and the 5 versions that exist of that, whereby you can buy a box set with all 5 versions in it. And you can choose and you can study and you can go through and experience it in slightly different ways. With Star Wars, I think a lot of that is a commercial decision. Have you got a dog, Rick?
I do.
What boy or girl?
She's a girl. She's a mutt.
She's a mutt.
That's what I was going to say. She's a mutt.
She's on the podcast. What's her name?
Ruby.
Ruby?
Yes.
Ruby's a great name. But people who come on this podcast tend to have pets, so it's all good. It's all good. So there is a Star Wars the Despecialized edition, which is a fan thing, and I have a feeling they've legally tried to be taken down a few things. And it's a bonkers website. You can go there, and it details all of the changes.
Oh, nice.
Between the different releases, and then so basically some fans have put together from all these different places. They've reconstructed a digital version of the original theatrical release.
Wow.
But they've taken some stuff from Laserdisc, they've taken some stuff from Blu-ray, they've taken some stuff from the VHS.
Recut it together. Wow,
and they've cut it together, cleaned it up, changed the pitch, put together a really, really clean HD quality version. But of course, it's very smoke and mirrors how you can actually download it.
Okay, so I got something for you guys then, because just to bring this back, even though that's awesome. So Rick will know about this as well.
Yeah.
So Rick has we're not going to talk about too much because I don't want to out him, but he has an amazing collection of toys and historical pieces from characters, just outstanding pieces. He's about to flip, but we were talking about dead mediums, right? Well, there was a series of action figures that came out with a CD-ROM, Marvel related. And the CD-ROM actually had Stan Lee, like on the old animated TV shows like Fantastic Four and X-Men. Remember Stan Lee would come on and talk or say something or some kind of like introduction or whatever? Well, he did a series of CD-ROMs.
Okay.
For the toy
Norrin is holding up a Silver Surfer CD-ROM comics, Marvel CD-ROM comics. There's a logo I've never seen before.
This is the first time they digitized the original comic books with Stan Lee narrating and someone doing a video of going through all of these comic books. And you would see them moving around. It's phenomenal. And on the screen when Stan Lee's talking, he's in a box, like, a window box. It's called window boxing.
Picture in picture. Yeah.
Picture in picture. Yeah, which is called window boxing. And around it is a graphic that looks like he's inside Galactus's ship. So you see all the numbers and the gears and the gaskets. It's crazy. I'll try to screen grab some things, but also a dead medium.
Rip it.
Yeah, I can rip it. I have ripped it, but I'll rip it and put it in the group. I'll put some screenshots up.
Yeah.
But really beautiful.
Put it on the podcast page.
Rick would know this. It came with an action figure.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting to see the figure.
Yeah. Oh, the figure.
So you know what's coming.
I do.
It's not next to me. It's not next to me. I don't have it next to me.
I'm sitting here grinning the whole time because I know what it is. I know it is.
Yeah, the figure. I don't have. I have the figure. I have the backing as well. But you know how the plastic comes off, the glue starts coming off eventually. Yeah. I've had it since I was a kid, so it's not in the best condition, which I don't want to talk about because it just breaks my heart. But and then I also have this, since we're talking about video games, which is the Silver Surfer and the Nintendo game cartridge.
Nice.
I've never played it, but I have heard how horrible it is.
It's so hard. It's a fun game, but it's just ridiculously impossible. Yeah. It's fun. It's just ridiculously impossible to play. If you get past one level, you're a god and you deserve to be worshipped. But yes, so there you go. Talking about dead mediums and stuff, I just wanted to go ahead and share my two game things because we talked about them.
Silent Hill and X-Men 2 Mutant Academy. Nice.
Love this game. But yeah, so there you go. Just so you guys know.
Very nice.
You need me to go get my copy of one video game I got too? You know what I got? I got an obscure game from PS1 still sitting around here. It's called XCOM. I don't know if any of you guys ever played that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think
Ian might have.
Got it.
I know.
That was a great game. That was a great game.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember it. I've heard it before.
So that's like a strategy role-playing type game. Turn-based type deal.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's sick.
So we'll very briefly talk on this, and then I want to do the artist intro, which is this week is interactive, but we'll come to that. We mentioned a chat. So basically, there was last Sunday one of the guys in the group put a thing out saying, "Oh yeah, we're just going to set up a Zoom, and anyone can drop in at any point in the day." I when we finished recording last week, I popped in quickly because I usually only have a 2-hour window for this, and we'd already done the podcast. So, and I popped in, and there were loads of guys hanging out on screen, and it was great. And there's people I'd never seen before, and who obviously names in the group. When I dialed in, it was a bit of a sausage party. I don't know if anyone else joined who wasn't a fella, but yeah, it was a nice. It seemed like a nice bunch of people collecting. But Norrin, you were in there for a lot longer than me, and it was kind of an extension of the trading card day thing that had been set up a couple of months back. So, how long did you roll for? Just hanging out and chatting?
It was an all day thing, man. We just dropped in, dropped out, but it was mostly just the morning. And some of us got together in another group later just to chat or whatever, private stuff. Nothing, just like 1 or 2 people. But the first group basically was a free-for-all. Anybody could come in, hang out, chat, and just drop in and talk. And we had some really awesome people there. And we were just talking cards, really. And it was because what happened for Trade Day, which Jose set up, his brainchild was to have a day like once a month or every couple of months or whatever where it could be just trading, right? So that way you don't have to do email correspondence or try to meet up with people, especially now within quarantine. People have a lot of time in their home. A lot of people going through their cards. It's just one of those things where now we get to have this time where we can just like, hey, check it out, show it on the screen, send pictures. If you don't know how to use a scanner, or you don't have a scanner, or whatever the case may be, you can just pop on this thing and, share. And it just became really fun to chat and hang out with everybody and just show each other collections. It was basically what you're listening to now, folks, is a snippet of what we did for Collectors Chat, talking about like how Ian collects games, Rick does other things as well as me. And it was just a way to get some really cool insight into people we all kind of like and hang out with, And,
cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun, actually. Yeah, it was. It was really awesome, actually. Yeah.
Good. All right. So, Rick, out of 1, 2, and 3, what's your favourite number?
3.
Yes.
So, Rick, can you see my screen?
No.
Oh, I've just started sharing screen, so this is going so well.
I see myself in Norrin.
Oh,
that's it.
Okay.
You got it. You're seeing it.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, now I see what you
see the folder. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see that I've got 3 folders there. So 1, 2, 3. So in the spirit of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, is 3 your final answer?
3 is my final answer.
Marvelous. Okay, so listeners will have already heard this. Of course, because it's at the start of the episode. I'm quite excited by this.
Me too.
You ready? You're listening, Rick?
I'm listening.
If you can hear this, you're in the right place. I'm Warren Martineck, and this is the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
So,
awesome.
Hey, there
Amazing.
it is. So this week, absolutely thrilled, and that was complete fluke. I did actually take and rename 3 of the audio files and put them into separate folders. There's number 1, which is literally called 1. There's number 2, and the file is literally called 2. There's number 3, but annoyingly, 3 is the one you selected, and as soon as you go in, it's got title Martineck intro, which kind of spoils things. Never mind. So I figured listen, Warren Martineck, for those who don't know who Warren Martineck is, Warren is a beast of an artist. I've just gone to his Instagram and realised that there's actually nothing there because I don't think he uses it. So his website is the main thing. So let me just find his email. Warren was I hadn't realised this actually, but he was hadn't realised quite how much he was a part of the Rittenhouse era. Obviously, we talked on the History of Sketch Cards Part 2 episode about how many sketches Warren had done for the various Rittenhouse sets. I hadn't realised that Chris Mixer had told us that I believe he was also art director, or certainly involved in that side of things.
Yes, 100%.
But he did an awful lot of work for the Rittenhouse sets. I'm sure you've probably got some of them, I would have thought.
I think Rick has pieces.
I definitely do. Right? I got a few.
Yeah. I mean, Warren's one of my favorites for sure. I think he's definitely in my top 10. 100%.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
A beast. And what was great about
just
legendary, 100%. What was great about him is that he kept upping the game, right? Every new piece he did had such presence and like a scene to it, and it was either after somebody, or it was his own work, or it was just he really knew the characters. And I think that was so special about his sketch cards is that you knew he knew the history, where the character was coming from. You knew the scene he was talking about, or the expression on the character's face. Like you just knew it. And storytelling.
Yeah,
all the way. 100% storytelling.
So his website is absolutely incredible, but he's got a really good. So I'm just laughing because I've just gone onto his Facebook page, and the header is lots and lots of artists. What are they? Copic markers?
Yeah,
there's a whole range of different colours there, and in front of it is Diet Coke did those labels with people's names on. He's put one of them on there with Warren on it, so it's fantastic. So there's an awful lot of great stuff at his Facebook page, including over the last week, and I was sharing this into the group actually. Over the last week, he was doing a Women of Marvel series where every day he'd post some of the cards he'd done for the Women of Marvel set back in 2008, I want to say. For example, for the last day of it, he posted Emma Frost, and he couldn't decide which one to do, so he's put 3 of them up. I guess the first thing I'd say about Warren is that his signature is as recognizable as Todd McFarlane's. Easily.
Yeah.
If you've 100%. Got a Warren Martineck card, you will absolutely know it's by him. There's no question about earlier on when I was holding up that sketch and not being able to tell, who the artist was from it. Warren Martineck's work is, as well as being outstanding quality, and different styles as well. I mean, look at the 3 different styles
100%.
He's engaged in terms of how he's drawn the card. Just looking at those Emma Frost. Excuse me, sorry. Looking at those, that's the thing. Warren, your work is so good, it's given me a slight bit of gas as I'm talking about it. And I'm hoping you don't find that insulting, because it's not intended to be. It's just astonishing and prolific as well.
Yes.
I think he's
done
in the range of 400 to 500 on some sets.
Crazy amount of pieces. Well, he's done archive achievement sets. He's done comic book recreations.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about him, other than storytelling, which Rick nailed it, I think his anatomy is always on point.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I never see a flaw with his cards. You know what I mean? I don't see any mishaps. I see a lot of attention to detail and just the right amount of like detail too. He doesn't crowd the card at all. You look at the card and you're like, you get an emotional thing immediately. Yeah. Absolutely impressive.
They're just absolutely stunning cards. I mean, there's no... I have one, and I'm looking through my collection for it now because it's escaping me. But I think I only have the one because a lot of his cards were certainly on some of the sets that I went in for. They were kind of on the how do you phrase it? They were on the kind of achievement level. So you'd have to, it'd be a dealer's incentive, or you'd have to buy a certain number of cases. Here we go. It's leapt out. That's why it's here. So I do have from Marvel Bronze Age a Black Cat. Can you see that? Okay, because I can't see my camera at the moment.
No, you're a little too small. Here, stop sharing your screen.
Stop sharing my screen. Well, there we go. Let's stop sharing my screen. There's always the answer. Stop sharing. But I like to share.
Well, you share in a moment. There it is.
So
I mean, just look at that look, man. Just look at that scene and everything.
And this is why, not to take anything away from Warren at all by making this comparison, is that Warren's work, along with Tony Perner, is kind of, it's just quality work across the sketch card medium from every set that I've seen it in.
If there was a forefathers of, or 4 women, 4 men, the head honchos of sketch cards and their legacy and how they've evolved over the years.
Yeah.
Warren is one of those figures.
Yeah,
100%. I don't think anybody would argue that Warren is really responsible for where sketch cards have gone. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
It's just absolutely stunning stuff. I'm going to share my screen again because, quite frankly, I need other eyeballs on this because it's gorgeous. Let me go back to his. So this Women of Marvel run that he did.
Oh, that piece.
Is that Spider-Woman?
I think that's Scream.
Is it Scream?
Yeah, Scream,
there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out. I was looking at thinking, is that Spider-Woman or is it Venom? And of course, it's Scream. Yeah, it's like, it's just brilliant. Satana. That's very much on your spectrum, Norrin, because it's a bit.
Yeah, 100%. If I found that card, I'd pay good money for it.
Yeah, you know what? We should put a pin in that for the next Halloween episode.
Yes, please. Actually, I'm gonna have to get that picture to save it.
That's
Mantis.
Mantis. And this is going back. This is Women of Marvel. This is 2008. So
Yeah.
There's a good breadth of characters, not just the. Oh, look at that Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman.
So cool.
You can barely see it. Pardon the pun. Madeline Pryor.
Goblin
good.
Queen, right?
Goblin
Is that
Queen.
the same?
Yeah. I see a lot of these would go perfectly on the Halloween episode. Look at this.
You see, and that was the other thing
you wouldn't get away with this now with a lot of the guidelines as well.
And also, I think, and his sketches were really fun. Before the guidelines got a little tighter, there was a lot of fun things. So that's Spider-Man. How sick is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rick, would you grab that?
It's sick. I wouldn't buy it, but it's sick.
Sick. I love
look what he's done with the format. That is a sketch card, but he's just blacked it out to make it look like it's for through the Punisher's scope.
Yeah, that's a fantastic.
For sure. But see, that's what I mean too. That's obviously a callback to the famous cover between Spider-Man and Punisher, but it's just a different take on it, and it's.
But so much fun he had on that. You know the fun he had doing that, because that's just a blast right there.
Yeah,
100%.
Amazing Spider-Man 129, first Punisher.
Oh, it is.
Yes,
okay.
that's it.
Yeah. That's the kind of through the scope part of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely. It's just astonishing work. Of course, he does work in other mediums as well. I'm just looking at
other licenses.
Warrior. Guys, you can find this. The Art of Warren Martineck on Facebook is the page that he suggested I steer everyone to. Although I know Warren's website is also pretty much an essential place to be. I think Kevin
100%.
mentioned that a lot of sketch cards that he's done, he's actually retained copies of that are on his website, which I did no prep whatsoever because I didn't know exactly which number you were going to choose there, Rick. So we didn't know Warren was going to be on this episode. Warren will make a return appearance to this podcast. I can guarantee you that. And he's got some APs. He's just he's got some APs there. I saw a message this morning saying that he's been really behind on commissions, apologising, and will be able to shortly open up some more commissions. So yeah, absolutely. So WarrenMartineck.com. We'll pop a link on the tasting notes. Warren, thank you for jumping on and doing that intro for us. He even went away and got a little photo for us as well to use, which I thought was really nice. And I don't know, maybe this is an exclusive picture that he did just for us. Let me open this up so that we can see it. There he is. There's your boy.
That's awesome.
Isn't that good?
Hey, full circle. He has a Return of the Jedi original poster behind him.
He does.
See, it was always on point. We didn't shift gears, people.
No, we didn't. It's like we planned this, isn't it? Rick's nodding. I'll send you a check. Rick, thank you for joining us. Have you enjoyed your morning so far?
Definitely have.
Yeah, you need to go and rescue your wife and cuddle your daughter, I think.
Oh no, I'm gonna stay in here.
You're gonna hide. Yeah. The toilet's good for that. So thank you, brother, for jumping on.
Thanks for having me. It's a blast. Great.
Thank you. I've said this to you on text, but I'm just going to say it on the podcast as well. You contribute so much to the group. You're such a great member of the community. I love you sharing your cards.
Nice.
You're just such a positive part of the hobby. So thank you.
Everyone has on a whole that I've met through the hobby, and I've encountered. I mean, it's just everybody's been great. I can't say I met a collector I didn't really like.
That's fine. Except for you listening over there, you know who you are. Yeah. But everyone else is fine.
that person.
Yeah, that guy.
One thing Rick could, calm down a bit. He could stop collecting surfers. I just think it's a little too much, Rick. I think you should walk away a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, with that new one I shared with you might be right though. I mean, that thing is phenomenal, man. I'm sorry not everyone can see it, man, but it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, tasting notes. That's all going to go on there. That's all going to go on there. So we'll say this, for anyone listening who's like, oh, how do I view the visuals? I say this every week, but just so that you know, we've done some video episodes. We don't do them as a rule of thumb because they actually take quite a lot of time to do, and sometimes, it's not always appropriate if it's just us, or if it's just us. Actually, we don't care. We just have to make sure we're wearing clothes when we do the podcast. Because you'd be amazed how many of these we do naked. I've lost my own train of thought from being silly.
How dare you, sir?
That's me being silly. It's my own fault. We do put tasting notes on the Facebook page for the podcast. So if you do, the simplest way to find us is just to Google at the MCC Pod, and you will either find our Instagram, you'll either find our Twitter, or you'll find our Facebook page. And either of those will link you to our Facebook page, and it's there that we post a post for each episode, which it has a description of the episode, it has a link to any of the links we talk about, and it has pictures of everything we talk about. And we usually make sure we put them in order that we talk about them on the episode, so you can kind of scroll along. It might not be the best way to do it if you're out maybe jogging and listening to us, or something like that, but who cares? I literally almost fell into a hole yesterday while I was walking along replying to someone who sent the podcast a message via our Facebook page. So that's how much we care about you people. I almost did that comedy.
Now we need a warning label for our show, Ian. Wonderful.
Yeah, I almost did that comedy fall into a construction hole on the pavement or sidewalk, because you guys it was a deep hole as well. I was like at one pace away from going in it. I just stopped myself, and I hadn't been drinking.
Get off your phone, man, when you walk. Okay, it's dangerous.
Phone's on me.
You're going to get ticketed.
I'll get something. Wheel clamp, probably. Anyway, Rick, stay on, because we'll wrap up, and then we'll say goodbye properly. But it's been an absolute blast. Rick, you've listened to us before, haven't you?
Of course.
Of course. You know how we sign off our podcast, don't you?
No, I don't.
See, it's not only me who doesn't remember.
Why would you put me on the spot like this?
That's messed up, man. That's a cruel thing to do, man.
It is a cruel thing to do. Norrin, tell him.
All right, here we go. Happy collecting, everybody.
Oh my goodness me, it's enjoy collecting. Oh my goodness me.
I just have to mess with Ian. I can't help it.
You know what?
Enjoy collecting, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. You can subscribe via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. Leave us a message via that link with questions, comments, or just to say hi, and we may even play on the show. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Our podcast is at the MCC Pod on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find links on our Facebook page to the two groups MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. On Instagram, find us at MM Collectors and at Sketch Card Hive. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.